All right, rock and roll. Welcome to the Scorched Earth Political Podcast. I am your host, John. And if you could hit that like and subscribe button, it means a lot to us. And here we're trying to get a little more honest, a little more raw, a little more unabridged view of what's going on in the world of politics. Because believe me, the stuff we're seeing every day, it is just crazy. You know, I remember back in Joe Biden when we didn't have a dumpster fire every day. Now we got like 6. It's like there's not enough fire extinguishers out there to put them all out. And some of them actually slip through. And some of his cohorts, comrades, accessories, get away with all kinds of just crazy crap, man. I mean, it's just amazing. And here we welcome all, sinner and saint, friend and foe. We're going to burn it all down. Let's get going. So we had that story yesterday about Joni Ernst. She is the junior senator from Iowa, and she was one of the people who was proclaiming about how great this big new bill is. And let's just see what little Joni has to say today after saying people were going to die from Medicaid cuts.
Possible Medicaid cuts in President Trump's, quote, big, beautiful bill. When someone mentioned that those cuts could lead to deaths, well, her response got a big reaction. Watch this.
They are not eligible, so they will be coming off.
Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. They are just trying to cut people off and just let them die. We have talked about 62% of the people on Medicare are actually working at least 22 hours a week. 10% are students. 10% are dealing with people in their family that they have to care for who have life-threatening disabilities. But let's continue with the bullshit she's talking.
So people are not, well, we all are going to die.
And look at that smile. Look at that smile. I have a funny feeling, and I'm just going to go out there on a limb. This is Scorched Earth. It's not going to be anybody in her family.
After her response started going viral, today the senator doubled down, recording a fake apology while walking in a graveyard.
I made an incorrect assumption.
Now, she has got a lot of blowback for that insincere, callous way of her saying, I am going to kick people off medical care. Okay? Straight up. People who are getting life-saving medical care are going to be kicked off. Now, you would think after 24 hours of this, she'd go, oh my God, I made a mistake. Let me get out there and make an apology and tell everybody I screwed up. No, that's not Joni Ernst. In Iowa, what the hell are you doing electing her and Chuck Grassley?
That everyone in the auditorium understood that, yes, we are all going to perish from this earth. So I apologize. And I'm really, really glad that I did not have to bring up the subject of the tooth fairy as well.
I mean, at some point, how do you even look yourself in the mirror? The condescending bitch. I mean, really, that we are all kids, that we don't understand death as part of life, that things happen, but the government has a responsibility. Don't sit there and tell me how you're going to kick anywhere between 8 and 13 million people off Medicaid, and you're going to increase the Defense Department. You're going to increase money for the border. Yeah, I agree. Those are worthy things, but you are exploding the deficit from anywhere from $3 to $8 trillion in the next 5 years. What happened there? What happened to you being a fiscal hawk? And let's trying to get the budget under control. I'm sorry, I forgot. They only do that when there's a Democrat as president. Then the budget is the biggest goddamn thing in the world. This lady is a hypocrite on a hypocrite. And these are the kind of political leaders we've got to get rid of. Iowa, I don't know what it is. Maybe she's very good on a farm committee. Maybe she's getting you great subsidies. But this lady is a reptilian succubus. I really honestly want to see the difference between her and Stephen Miller. They have no souls. And I know so many Republicans who are the most caring, thoughtful, sweet people in the world. I don't understand how this can be part of their political party. I mean, my God. This lady came out and said the silent things they say in the back calls. She's saying it. She is that emboldened. Yeah. All right. You're going to be up for election soon enough, honey. You're going to be up for election soon enough. And maybe you can talk down to me, and maybe the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny will all come around to your house too. I got 2 words for you. F you, and then when I'm done with that, F you again. All right, let's talk to actually one of the more heartening stories that I've seen in a while. Yeah, I know. It seems like I am the purveyor of gloom and doom, but I try not to be. Ukrainian drone attack. Yeah. Oh, thank you, God. Destroyed more than 40 Russian planes deep in Russian territory. Not on the border, deep in there. Thousands of kilometers in. Ukraine Security Service said on Sunday, while Moscow did counterattack and pounded Ukraine with missiles and drones just hours before a new round of direct peace talks in Istanbul, which is just another BS thing. You know, Ukraine asked Russia, we'd like to see what your proposals for peace are before we go to Istanbul. And Russia said, no, we'll show them to you there at the table. And they're going to hand them a piece of paper that says, no peace, no nothing. Okay, whatever. I have told you before that, and I hate Elon Musk. I hate that son of a bitch with every part of my body. I'll tell you what, I'd rather get a bike than get a Tesla, right? But he is right about one thing. War has changed. The Ukraine-Russia war has changed. The United States is still in the 1970s. We're going to build more planes. We're going to build more ships. Even though China builds bigger and better ships than we do more cost efficiently, let's take that out of the thing. What we have found out, and we learned something from every war. To me personally, the $60 billion we gave in military aid to Ukraine was the best money we ever spent. Our budget is $1 trillion a year for defense. You're telling me that for 6% of that, you can destroy your biggest enemy and you don't have to lose one human life? One American life, excuse me? Plenty of Ukrainians have sacrificed their life in the pursuit of freedom. Bless you all. I apologize for that misprobe. But at the end of the day, that is the best money we've ever spent on military. But one thing we have learned from anybody who's actually watching what's going on there is that drones are taking over. The drones are the new battlefield. And that is what Elon Musk said, especially after President Trump in March announced that we were going to double down on the military fighter with the 757. And it's going to be a multi-trillion-dollar thing. It is. We're going to spend literally trillions of dollars. You know, we had a plane back in 2004 that still hasn't hit the runways, and we've spent, you know, the initial cost was $200 billion. Now it's somewhere in the $2.5 trillion. I mean, that the same overruns are going to happen to the next one. But the reason we're doing it is because it's Boeing, McDonnell Douglas, Lockheed. Those companies are going to make an incredible amount of money. It's the military industrial complex. Hey, you want to get, we talked about this before, is how come they always order 213 planes? Well, I'll tell you why they order 213 planes. Because it starts out at 180, and some general in the Air Force, or, an admiral or general, retires and he goes to work for Lockheed and they pay him $500,000 a year. And he goes over to his buddies in the Defense Department and goes, we really need 182. 180 ain't enough. And then you have 30 of these guys doing this and it goes from 180 to 213. And Lockheed's paying him $500,000 a year, but if you're getting $2 billion a plane, I think you can absorb that loss. That's just change underneath the couch, right? That's what's going on. And they don't talk about it because these generals are going to get paid when they leave. Okay, let's talk about it. That's what it is. I'm not going to get into that whole, distribution of wealth that goes on in the military industrial complex. That's a story for another day. I'm not going to deal with it now. But we are finding out that drones, if you could take a $30,000 drone and destroy a $3 million tank, how are you not going to win? And I have seen it, and we have talked about what has been going on in Ukraine, that Russia at night They don't do it at night during the day because the anti-drones can knock out their drones. At night, they just go and they hover over houses of civilians, and if anybody comes out, they just shoot them. They just kill them. And you don't know if there's a drone out there or whatever. It literally locks down a whole sector. So there can't be any counter movement that goes against the Russian forces. All right, pretty smart. But war always evolves. It always evolves. You know, the art of war, the Chinese philosopher. You know, this is what we're seeing. And Ukraine made a perfect example. Now, we don't know how much damage Russia did, and I'm sure it was extensive. I'm sure there was lots of lives lost, unfortunately, on the Ukrainian side. But Ukraine took out, literally, 40 of their planes. 40 of their planes are no longer operational. The cost of those planes is over $6 billion. Now, Russia doesn't exactly make the highest quality planes and military armaments. So in America, it would probably be $60 billion. But the defense contractor will tell you it's $600 billion so they can overcharge. Thank you. Thank you, Boeing. So a military official who spoke with the Associated Press on condition of anonymity to disclose operational details said the far-reaching attack took more than a year and a half to execute and was personally supervised by the great Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. God bless that man. I wish he was running our country because there's a guy who actually cares about what happens to his people. The operation was dubbed Spiderweb. It comes on the eve of expected peace talks in Istanbul between Russia and Ukraine, and involved the most ambitious simultaneous attacks on Russian air bases carried out by Ukraine since the war began. Good for them. You know, if Trump, and I've said this, when I'm the president in 4 years, I got all the answers. You want to end this war? Tomorrow, you announce, or tonight on True Social, you know, when you're doing the last of that ketamine that, you know, Elon Musk left in the Oval Office, at 3 a.m., you announce you're going to give $100 billion in military aid to Ukraine. Just announce it. Just be Mr. Taco. Trump always chickens out. Okay, fine. Announce it. Let's see what happens with the peace talks then. Instead of this, I be mad at Putin. I be mad. He not good guy. He's playing you, man. He's playing you like a fiddle. You're just a chump. You don't even know what's going on, right? Also, in a statement from the Ukraine ministry, we are doing everything to drive the enemy from our native land. We will strike them at sea, in the air, and on land, and if needed, we will even attack them underground. The airfields were 2,800 miles. I'm not even going to get into the names of what these airfields were because I don't speak Russian, and I don't speak Russian. So, Belaya was 2,800 miles away from the Ukrainian border. They struck them. They knocked down 22 planes. They had another one that was 320 miles away, and they knocked out the other 22 planes. Good for you. Good for you. Russian Defense Ministry confirmed the attacks. They downplayed them. They said it was an act of terrorism. Hey, this just in, it's not terrorism when you attack them first. They're just trying to get their own country. And honestly, if they can get something into Moscow, that could be a game changer too, right? And from what I understand, and I literally read 3 different reports on what happened, is they hid the drones under the roofs of wooden houses. Now, somewhere on the back of trucks, some were stationed in the fields or in the country, I guess. And the roof would open and the drones would fly out. That's why it took a year and a half. Because they had to secure places, and obviously it's got to be kind of tough to get drones in there without Russian eyes, because, you know, if you're a Russian person, you're going to be calling the defense ministry going, hey, I'm seeing a lot of trucks here with a lot of drones going in this house. They'll be like, oh, let's go check it out. Obviously, it was a coup d'etat. Very well done, Mr. Zelensky. You know what? Good for you. Unfortunately, Russia did launch an attack with 472 drones on the Ukrainian country. We don't have a death count, but somewhere between 60 and 80 people perished. And you don't even talk about the multiple injuries that happen in the field of battle. It's war. It's war. And I think it is beholden upon us as their allies. Remember, they sent 1,200 of their men to fight with us in Iraq and Afghanistan. They did. We asked them, please come help us fight against the Taliban, against Saddam Hussein, and they said, we're going to send them. And what a hard conversation that is to have with mothers and fathers, that saying, we're going to send your kid to help our ally. And now when they need our help, we aren't helping them. We've abandoned them. Joe Biden did help them. I wish he would have helped more. I wish people like Lindsey Graham would get off his ass and start pushing for more aid for Ukraine instead of being that cuckold for the president. No, not going to do it. Not going to do it. Yeah, people are dying because of your inaction. Let's talk about more people dying. And I want to say that the first broad stroke of President Trump's administration was an executive order to eliminate USAID. And this was a humanitarian program that was actually a bipartisan program set up. It was funded with $3 billion. It was approved by both houses last year and both political parties to help people in other countries who were suffering from disease, war ravagement, malnourishment, water deprivation, things like that. And basically what we would do is we'd go into a country in Africa that was suffering terrible disease and famine. And I'm sure you've all heard of Doctors Without Borders. That was a program under USAID. Now, I think it has morphed into an independent authority now, but USAID provided them with quite a few of the medical instruments, the medical medicine, just different things they needed to do their job to save innocent human lives. And that is where America gets a lot of its soft power. You hear about soft power, and basically what that is countries look favorably upon us because we are doing stuff not for any transactional return, but because we're trying to help the world become a better place. And Republicans and Democrats have both aligned with that. Let's spend the $3 billion. Now, in a budget that's $7 trillion, oh my God, it's like 0.000000001% of the budget. And President Trump came in, one of his first executive actions, I think it was actually his first, he cut USAID, which is absolutely illegal because they had been funded all the way till September by the Congress of the United States last September. Okay? But the Republicans, because they are such pussies, didn't do a thing. They said, oh, we're not going to say nothing. We don't want to piss off the new emperor. Okay? I'm telling you right now, when I'm the president in 4 years, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm taking a chainsaw. I'm literally taking a chainsaw to the Defense Department. We're going to start building drones. That 757, you can kiss my ass. We're not going to spend $2 trillion on that. And we're going to get health care for everybody. And we're going to get those people who are kicked off Medicaid, and we're going to make sure they're okay. That's where we're going to start. I'm already building my political platform. I already got the vice president, okay? But let's get to the actual human consequences of USAID being cut. Boston University modeled what these cuts have done in the world at large. And they have said 300,000 deaths are directly due to these cuts. Specifically, the cuts have been linked to increased deaths from diseases like malaria, tuberculosis, and HIV. They estimate Washington Post estimates there'll be another 165,000 die in this year. That's just this year. You're looking anywhere from 300 to 450,000 people. Yeah, we can't do that, right? We can't help the world become a better place. Yeah. Because their argument is we got to cut the government, but yet they pass a big, beautiful, bloated bill. Yeah, I'm going to throw another B in there. Alliteration, my friends, alliteration. That's going to add another $3 to $8 trillion in deficit to the budget, to the debt. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, we only care about the budget when a Democrat's in office. Also, final story. Donald Trump reshared a post that falsely accused former President Joe Biden of he was executed in 2020 along with other nefarious allegations, including that there's clone doubles, robotically engineered soulless, mindless entities that have since been substituted for Joe Biden, the ex-commander-in-chief. Now, we know Donald Trump isn't adverse to spreading bullshit, but I mean, really? I mean, at some point, Jake Tapper, instead of going out there on your little vanity tour saying, oh, Biden's cognitive decline was just hidden behind, we're seeing it in real time. How about this, Jake Tapper? Go do your goddamn job. And why don't you start reporting to people about what an out-of-control, insane a-hole this dude is? This guy is effing crazy. This guy is like the crazy uncle that we all have, but this guy's got his finger on the nuclear buttons. He can launch bombs. This crazy SOB can destroy the world. And it's kind of like in 2021, after the, infamous little January 6th get-together on the Capitol Rotunda by the Republican henchmen, that Nancy Pelosi called the chief of staff, General Mathis, and said, hey, does this guy really have control of the buttons? And he said, no, I'm going to make sure he doesn't. And he actually talked in back channels to the Chinese and said, look, we're not going to launch. I'm telling you right now, I don't care what this guy says. He's got 2 weeks left. I don't know what he's going to do. Well, now he's fired a lot of the generals. He's probably got generals who go, yeah, Mr. President, here's the box. Hit the button. This guy controls our nuclear arsenal. This guy controls our nuclear arsenal. Well, John, thank you for leaving us once again with an uplifting and upbeat segment. Yeah, I know, right? I will recommend this. When you listen to this podcast, make sure you keep all the sharp utensils away from you. I'm just saying, the flatware. Keep that sharp flatware away from you. All right. I just want to tell you I love you all. I appreciate you listening. It means a lot to us. And we're going to get there. I love you. We're on the side of right. We're on the side of good. And we're fighting for democracy, not just for ourselves, but for our kids. And it's going to work out. All right. I'll see you soon on Scorched Earth.